Welcome friends. Today I'm going to show you how to make authentic cheese curds. This is how we store our milk in glass jars, and you can see that there's a cream line right there. We're going to put the milk, and we're going to use 2 gallons into the pot. I got a spatula here because the cream is thick. Some thick cream. And now we're going to put it on the stovetop and gently heat it to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're going to put the milk on low and we're going to heat it to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Gently stirring as we go. Okay, let's check the temperature. Let me see here. It's on. We're at 80 degrees. See that? Getting there. We need to be at 86. A little bit longer. Just going to give it a quick stir and check our temperature. 86. Well, it's a little higher, 87, but that's okay. Now we're going to add the culture, the Mesophyll type 2 culture, and I'm going to add 2/8 of a teaspoon, and you just sprinkle it on top. And now I'm going to put the lid on it and I'm going to let that rehydrate for 2 minutes. Now the timer went off, and now we're going to give the milk a gentle stir. And now, because I am using raw full fat milk, I find that I need to let mine sit for an hour and a half, maintaining the temperature at 86 degrees. So put the lid on it and set the timer for an hour and a half. I'm going to prepare the liquid rennet now. And because I'm using liquid rennet, it's 1/4 of a teaspoon to 1/4 cup of cold filtered water. And I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon to 1 cup because I'm using 2 gallons of raw milk. And now we're going to add that to the milk. So it's been an hour and a half, and the cultures have been in the milk. Just going to give it a stir. And now we're going to add the rennet. Remember, the rennet has been diluted in the filtered water. And now I'm just going to gently stir in an up and down motion, like that. I'm just going to check to make sure our milk is at 86 degrees. Close enough. It's like 85. You want to agitate it for about a minute. You'll feel it, it'll start to get thicker. And now we're going to cover it and let this sit for 1 hour. Alright, the timer's gone off. It's been an hour. And now what we have here is a curd. One large curd. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut it. Now, we want the curds to be about 1/4 inch. So what we're going to do is we're going to go horizontal and then vertical through it all. And then if you can imagine, we're going to go on a slight angle through the curd one way and then the other way. And then I'll rotate the pot, if I remember, and cut it again because we want the curds to be 1/4 inch in size. So I'm going to make the first initial cut down through the center. And I'll show you here. You can tell your curd is ready. See how that splits? Nice. And you want to go quite close together. It's okay if it's wiggly, it's forgiving, it's curds. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it, and we'll do all the horizontal ones, horizontal to me. That's half done. Now I'll do the other half. Now we're going to go the other way. Now I'm going to go on a diagonal. Repeat the whole thing, but holding my knife on an angle. Okay, so we did some cutting. You can see curds are still a little larger than I would like, but want about half that size. So I'm just going to rotate the pot and cut some more with my knife on an angle. Now I'm going to put the lid on and set the timer for 10 minutes so that the curds can heal. The timer went off and the curds have rested for 10 minutes. This is what I have. Now there are some larger pieces. I'll just break those up. Now what we want to do now is we actually want to agitate the curds and keep them from matting on the bottom as we are slowly heating the whey up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So what are we at now? You don't want to increase the temperature any more than like by 5 degrees every 10 minutes. So we're at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Now on my stove, I've already discovered between 2 and 3 on the dial is the perfect temperature. To bring it up at perfect rate and temperature. '81. So I'm just gonna agitate here. Now, some people will say you have to use your hands, and I have, because you can't feel if it's matting at the bottom. But I've discovered if I stir it in a circular motion from the center outwards, the curds will agitate in the whey. And if they do create a mat, I'll just kind of wiggle it against the side, trying not to squish the curd. And if I do find a piece that's really big that I don't like, I'll just take my spatula and cut it in half. Okay. See if you can see that. Okay, we're going to just keep stirring. It's at 98. Once the whey gets to 100, we want to maintain it at 100 degrees Fahrenheit and continually stir for 30 minutes. So what I have here is a old pot that I used to use for hot water bathing and the rack. And I'm going to put a metal colander in. Now what I'm going to do now is strain the curds out of the whey. Spatula here. There we go. Oh, my cooking pot is extremely heavy. I have to scoop it out. I can use my hands at this point. curds. There we go. And you want to make sure the curds are level in the colander, and then just give a light press to the top of the curds. Now we're going to take the colander and put it back into the metal pot. Reserve the whey for other products. Now let's get this into the pot. So as you can see, the colander is in the large pot, and I'm going to put the lid on it, and it's going to sit here for 15 minutes. The heat is off. It's just a nice warm place for 15 minutes. So I've removed the curds out of the pot, and then we're going to get them out of the colander. Then we're going to cut it into 3-inch thick strips. I'm going to take those and I'm going to put them into my 10-quart stock pot, placing them inside. It should have the consistency of like a chicken breast. And now we're going to put it back onto the stove into the double boiler, and we're going to cheddar it. Now what I have here is, again, the pot that you saw me drain the curds and whey in. And I have some water in there, hot water, and the pot with the slices in it. So what we're going to do is we want to keep the temperature of the water at 100 degrees. Right now I do believe it's 115. And I'm going to put the lid on here. And just through turning the element on and off, we'll keep the water at 100 degrees. And then every 15 minutes we're going to come, drain the whey out, and turn over the slices. You'll see the whey. So we're going to drain the whey out, and then we're going to flip the slices. Pour it out. And then we're going to put the pot back. And we're going to flip these over. Do 2 gallons at a time is, I only have a pot big enough to do this cheddaring part. Now we'll put the lid back on and wait another 15 minutes, and we're going to do this for 2 hours. Okay, it's been 2 hours. I'm going to drain the last little bit of whey. There you go. I'm going to drain that out. Here we are at the end. Earlier in the video I made reference to chicken breast, and it's at this point when it should feel like a chicken breast. It's very firm. When I was draining it and then putting it back in, I would actually make sure every side was on the bottom for even heat distribution. So now it's at this point where you actually just start breaking apart into like 1/2 inch pieces. Now these are my cheese gloves because my hands are very sensitive. So I'm just going to move this over a little bit so you can see. 1/2 inch pieces. So it's at this point now, after I get all the cheddar slice into 1/2 inch chunks, I would salt it and put it into the press. But because I am making fresh cheese curds for immediate consumption, yeah. It's quite stiff too. It takes a lot of effort, and you can really feel it in your fingers by the time you get through all the slices. And these cheese curds are ready to eat, and if you chew on them, they're very squeaky. Now it's at this point where I will add some extra fine sea salt, and I'm only adding 1/2 teaspoon. And you want to mix it, blend it well into the cheese. That's the deep fryer in the background, if you heard that. We're having poutine with fresh cheese curds. And there you have it. Fresh cheese curds. To eat just like this, or to put on your poutine. Remember, use what you have, do what you can.